Welcome to the Runway to Reiki podcast with Fashionista Yogi. I'm your host, Susan Higgins, and today I'm bringing you episode number 6. I hope everyone has had a good old safe time celebrating the holiday if you participated in Thanksgiving. I laid low and stayed in town. I had dinner at one of my friends' house with her and her kids and her husband, which was really nice, and I was thankful for the invite since I decided not to travel due to Miss Rona spiking and acting a fool. My heart really goes out to anyone having a hard time right now financially and people grieving friends and family as we are losing a lot of lives every day, again, to Miss Rona. My heart and prayers go out to everyone that's worried about your people that may be sick or yourself. And it's just a tough time, and blessings to you all. In the last episode, I gave you 8 tips to help you if you're having a hard time with stress and overwhelming anxiety during this time as the holidays are upon us. And they were well received. I got really good feedback. And I actually have 3 more tips to give you that I came up with just based on some of my personal experiences over the past few weeks. Number 1, listen to your body. If your body is telling you that it's tired and it needs a break to rest, take it. It is okay. If you may just need a day to be on the couch and watch Netflix and rest and allow yourself to do that. Like, it's okay. Listen to your body if that's what your body says it needs. Number 2, give yourself grace. Don't beat yourself up for listening to your body and taking a break and resting if that's what your body told you it needed. So also, don't beat yourself up if you don't get everything done in your to-do list or your goal list for the year, as we feel like all this pressure as the year is almost over. We're racing to the finish line at the end of 2020 and everyone's like, oh, I didn't accomplish this, I didn't accomplish that. I mean, it's okay. Give yourself grace, love, and compassion as you have lived through a global pandemic, which has never happened in our lifetime, and a lot has changed. You've had a lot to adapt to and quickly. And you are not a failure if everything is not complete or buttoned up on your list for the year. You did your best. You are doing your best, and just keep going. But rest if you need to rest. Don't overdo it. Tomorrow's another day. Just kind of get rid of all of this pressure on yourself and just give yourself grace and love and compassion. You're doing the best you can. It's all good. Number 3, don't blow all your money on Christmas presents. Keep in mind, we are still in this pandemic and things are still happening, and we don't really know what is going to happen next. People still and will continue to be laid off. Maybe it's not the year to go crazy buying gifts that don't end up being used or valued. Maybe go a little lighter, more thoughtful, more meaningful. The last thing you want to do is blow all your money during this time and then not have your cushion left over because you went crazy for Christmas. Just, be mindful of that. A lot of people, are working now, lost their jobs this year. Give yourself grace and take the pressure off yourself of a big crazy Christmas in a time like this. I'd like to thank everyone who has listened to the first 5 episodes for your support. Thank you so much. And I'd like to welcome any new listeners to the show. If you are a new listener, I encourage you to listen to episode number 1 if you'd like to learn more about who I am and what the show is all about, the purpose of it, and why I started it and what to expect. Also, please be sure to subscribe if you are listening on Apple, and follow if you are listening on Spotify. And ratings and reviews are always super welcome. If you don't mind taking the time, I truly appreciate it. Also, please be sure to spread the word to your people if you are liking the content of this show. A great way to spread the word is to take a screenshot of the show on your phone as you're listening and then share it on your stories on social media and tag Runway to Reiki Podcasts on Instagram. Good old fashioned word of mouth is very helpful to bring awareness to the show, and I appreciate any help I can get in that. thank you. If you're enjoying this show and you think that like, people, other creatives or just other people in general that may enjoy this content, please share. So today I had the pleasure of interviewing my good friend Sedwick Cole Jr. about his journey as a corporate fashion designer as a Black man, which is honestly very rare, I have found in my career. It didn't seem rare living in New York City because when I entered the industry coming out of college, that time period was when urban fashion was really on fire. So there's a lot of Black dudes designing urban wear, Sean Johns and the Rockawares. But when I left New York and accepted a position with a company in Dallas, there were barely any, for the most part, for the whole time that I was there. There may have been like one that I can remember in design and like one that was a graphic designer towards the end, and that was it. And I mean, there's like a whole men's department and there's definitely not any Black men on that team. And as all of these diversity in the workplace conversations have erupted since George Floyd was killed, I encourage companies not to only elevate Black women, but also Black men. Like, I don't feel like the work is done after adding a few Black women to your like roster. Don't forget the Black Kings as well. This interview was actually done in February, pre-pandemic and Black Lives Matter movement over the summer. I was visiting my friend Sedwick and his family for a night at his home in Greensboro, North Carolina. And after him and his wife put the kids to sleep, we chopped it up and had some wine. And I did this podcast interview with him about his experiences as a Black man in the fashion industry. And I hope you enjoy the interview. Let's get right to it. We have Sedwick Cole with us today.
What up? What's going on?
So Sedwick is a career-long corporate fashion designer. Is that what I should call you?
Yeah, you can.
You like that?
No, that'll work.
All right, cool. And we're just going to talk to him today about his experience in the fashion industry as a Black man.
Ooh.
That is really what I want to hear about. So first thing I'd like to know is where you from?
I'm from Maryland, right outside of D.C., probably about 8 minutes from D.C., Prince George's County, born and raised.
Okay. And so how did you get into fashion?
Wow. I got into fashion. First, I was a fine artist. So I started, I draw, I paint, I do all of that. I got intrigued with fashion probably when I was in the 9th grade. I took a trip to Italy, went to a Versace store in Venice. And back in those, Versace was popping in the 90s. And that was the DC thing. Like, we love Versace. Versace, DKNY, blah, blah, blah. So when we were in Venice, when you bought the jeans, you got a sketchbook.
Oh, word.
Yeah, and so I didn't think nothing of it. And then when I brought when I came home from the trip, I actually opened up the sketchbook and I was like, wow, I could do that. I was always into clothes, but I never sketched anything. And then it kind of started from there. I started mimicking the sketches that was in the book. And I kind of started from there. And then I started hand painting T-shirts, selling them at school. So
that was all in high school?
Yeah, all in high school.
And so then where did you go to college?
I went to college at Art Institute, primarily because I dropped out of high school when I was
You did?
And how long you know me? You didn't even know that, right?
No.
Yeah, so I got all the way to the 12th grade, started wilding out. So I basically didn't graduate high school until 2001. I was supposed to get out in 99. So I was a creative, so I didn't want to take a SAT. I don't recommend that, kids. It's a different time. So when I started looking at art schools, of course I wanted to go to Parsons, Pratt, those type of schools, but I didn't have the grades, nor did my parents have that type of money to be paying for school. So Art Institute was a good, one of my boys from high school, he had went, a good friend of mine, and I saw him before he went to school. Like, he would just sketch, and then when he came back, he knew how to sew, do patterns, do X, Y,
everything, draping.
So that, it kind of, that kind of drew me to that school. And then it was a 2-year program. and it was in Philly. So I'm still close to home, but then I'm close to New York if I want to kind of get into business. It's nothing but a bus ride or a train ride away.
Right.
Yeah.
So you finished that seamless?
Yeah, actually, and it was trippy because that's why it excelled when I went to college, because I was actually doing something that I love to do.
Okay.
Because I hated school, like regular school. I had all E's and one A, and the A was always in art.
Okay. Yeah.
But when I got to college, I excelled. It was a struggle at first trying to learn how to sew, because that's just a different skill set from
Right.
Drawing. But once I got to school, I loved it. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
So then
When I graduated, I did a slew of internships. The first internship I did, it was a company called Mesquite.
I remember Mesquite.
A lot of y'all youngins might don't know what that is. But that was a cool company at the time. They were like big in the hip hop world. So they actually did hand painted tees.
I remember that.
And it was kind of like a brotherhood. I'm still friends with those guys till this day. A lot of those guys turned into like my mentors. So after that intern, I actually got another internship with Sean John in their heyday.
Okay.
And my first week at Sean John, actually my first day, they had won the CFDA award.
Wow.
So walking into that, it was just exciting, just to kind of see, first of all, it was a black designer. That's number one. Then to actually win the award, and that was like my first New York. That was my first New York internship.
Okay.
So
because Mesquite was based in Philly, right?
Mesquite was based in Philly, and then after that, I moved on to Sean John, and I'm still friends with those people to this day as well, as the people at Sean John as well. So, yeah.
And those are your main two interns. So did your internships, and then what?
And then after our internship, what did I do? Oh, then after our internship, those guys from Mesquite, they actually started a new company called Mazan Art Couture. They moved their business from Philly to New York, and they just called me out of nowhere and was like, "Hey, you want to come work for us?" At the time, I still was an intern at Sean John. So I mean, hey, you in New York, you broke, you sleeping on couches, you're like, okay, yeah, I need a job. So they actually hired me as a head designer.
Oh,
yeah,
straight out of school.
Pretty much. I mean, because I had known those guys for some years. Because remember, I did that internship, so they knew my work ethic, and we just clicked. So they gave me that opportunity, and I learned a lot because I didn't know a lot at the time, but kind of when you jump into those situations where you don't know a lot, it's either sink or swim.
Yeah.
Like you sink or swim. So I learned a lot through that experience, and after that job, that's where I met you. We were at Parigi.
Yeah.
Right. And that was a kids company. So,
and what lines were you doing there?
What lines did I do there? You going back far? I did when I first started. It was let me think. It was academics, Fat Farm, Aniche. Yeah.
Yeah, all I can remember in my mind is Nietzsche.
Yeah, it was
doing
Aniche,
that.
Fat Farm, and I found some great. That's another thing too. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, every job I've been at, that's why I always tell young kids, don't burn bridges. It's a small industry. I could be in a whole nother city, in a whole nother country, and I'll run into somebody from the industry. So,
yep.
You got to be very careful on the relationships you build, because relationships is everything, especially in this industry. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
So that situation was different than the last one because the first job, obviously, those were more, I would imagine, some brothers that were the head of that company, a smaller company.
It was a cool company. The culture was it was easy, because it was like we spoke the same language, we come from the same culture, and that's when you get into like a real corporate environment,
yes,
it changes dramatically.
So the next position where we met, was a little not corporate, but it was a little bit more buttoned up.
It was
a little bit,
to the top of the neck. It was a little bit more buttoned up, and that experience at that company kind of prepared me for working at real corporate. Exactly, because At times it was kind of real lenient at Parigi, but at times it was very corporate. So also as a black male in this industry, and then we were just speaking about this, you have to move a certain way. You know, if you're at an urban company, you know, it's no prejudgment because everybody's from the same, you know, we all
everybody
from
looks
the same
like you.
Yeah,
They understand
like
you.
They, you know, so you don't feel like you got to prove anything like that. So working at a corporate company can be tricky at times.
Right. So that place you stayed how many years?
When was I? 2006 to 2008.
And you got laid off.
And then I got laid off, which was that was an eye-opening experience for me, because at the time I was getting like a big head. You know, we all go through that.
We all go through it.
You know, I was making money. I was, you know, shopping every day, and then it was like, oh, you don't have a job. So, and then at that time in New York, it was very, very hard to get a job because companies was closing. You remember
that was when the economy fell through the roof in the country. Period.
It was bad. So I went probably a whole year almost without work. I mean, I freelanced for a couple of people, but shortly thereafter, this is why I said relationships are everything, because those people that I work with, I could always go to them and get work, like side work, if I needed extra money or if something, you know. You're going to have pitfalls and ups and downs in your career, but if you have relationships,
right,
you'll always kind of get through it.
Yeah.
But after that, I started working with a cool company, Brooklyn Circus.
Yes.
Which is probably one of the best, most creative jobs I had. Again, that was a black company, and we were trying to change the narrative at that time with men's fashion, because all of us were really dressed to the nines, and we were really trying to come at fashion from a different angle, because at that time, urban kind of took a dip.
Right.
So the premium brands started to pop up, but again, premium brands, you didn't see a lot of people that looked like us in those premium brands.
Right.
So Ouija, the owner of Brooklyn Circus, we were just, you know, everything was, you know, about tailored goods. We had two different lines. One was BKC, one was the Brooklyn Circus. Brooklyn Circus was more of a tailored line.
Mm-hmm.
The BKC was more of a streetwear brand.
Okay.
So we kind of blended the two, and we could speak to that consumer, because that's how we dress. Some days we wear sneakers, some days we wear suits, some days we're clean, buttoned up. So that was a really cool company, because the whole entire staff was people of color.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So then what happened after that?
So after that, I worked for a Garmento company. I don't even want to say the name.
It's
That's
fine.
probably one of the worst experiences. That's probably one of the worst jobs I had.
Skip it.
Yeah, let's skip that. But shortly after that job, I took a job at DKNY, which was a great experience, because it wasn't just people of color. It was just people, just in general. It was just a nice mix of people. But I still had challenges there as well, because, you know, when you come in the door, they're like, if they look at your resume at that time and they see urban companies, it's like, and I even hate that word urban.
Right.
Because it's just a code word for black.
Pretty much.
Yeah, at the end of the day. So, you know, when I first got there, I had to prove myself there as well. You know, and if you've been in this industry long enough, you kind of get tired of doing that after a certain point. He like, look, bro, I've been doing this at that time almost over 10 years at that time. So, but everything worked out. I had really cool bosses. The product was nice. I liked what I was doing, but it still was a lot of challenges at that job as well.
Okay. And so then, do you care to get into what happened to make you get to the point of wanting to leave? Oh,
yes. Let's get into that. So a lot of times any designer, it's always the same language, talking to fellow designers. You got to learn to say no sometimes. And at that time, that wasn't a skill set that
it wasn't one of your strong points?
No, it wasn't one of my strong points. So, I mean, the company I went through several different transitions. I got promoted like twice at that company. And it was around 2015. The company was going through changes again, and they laid off I think about 500 people. And they kept the talent that they wanted to keep. I was fortunate enough to be one of those people. What I didn't know was at the time, I was just doing men's and women's denim, right? I was the design director. But then, along with this new title, I had to be a fabric manager for every classification, tops, bottoms, the whole. And I was doing color and concept for the entire DKNY. Like, it was a lot. I had one assistant for fabric. She was awesome. And I had two other denim designers kind of under me. But, I mean, I was traveling so much. It was crazy. At that time, my wife was pregnant. We had our first kid, Sedwick the third. And then shortly thereafter, we had a baby girl, Sloan. I mean, it was so bad to the point that I had my daughter I think on a Wednesday. And I was back at work on Friday.
What?
Yeah.
Sir.
Because it was like, and that's the thing, too, that you struggle with, too, as a black male in this industry. You never want to slip. You know what I'm saying? Because all eyes are on you. Mm-hmm. So it's like I was so obsessed at that time with not achieving the goals that were kind of set in front of me.
Right.
Like I would do, you know what I'm saying? Like I would stay up 24 hours, like 2 days sometimes, like just grinding to meet these deadlines. And what wound up happening is I kind of had like it kind of broke me a little bit. Because we were just talking about this. I went on a China trip. No, this is what happened. With this trip in particular, I went to South Korea. I went to Taiwan. I went to China. I went to Hong Kong. Then I went to Indonesia, all in one trip. And I think I even went to India.
How long was the trip?
It was 3 weeks.
Okay.
Came back home. I was home for a day, went back into the office the next day.
Sure.
Yeah.
Too much.
But that, again, that's that mental thing where when you're a person of color, you're always, well, I know for me, you always trying to move 10 steps ahead of somebody. You know what I'm saying? You always feel like the people's eyes are watching you. You know what I'm saying? They're waiting for you to slip up.
Yep.
And that was my frame of mind at that time. So I literally went to work. When I got off, I was so tired. I had lost my voice, like literally lost my voice. Got on I think the 2 train or the 6 train, fell asleep for like hours. My wife was pregnant at the time. I wake up, it's like 2 a.m. I got like 50 missed calls.
Wake up where?
On the train. I don't even know where I was at. This is what I'm saying. Like I had worked myself into like a coma. And like literally when I finally, you know, I forget where I was at. I held a cab, came home, and like I literally had like a breakdown. Like I was like, I can't do this right now. So then I left DKNY and just took some time off to kind of just recharge and kind of fall back in love with fashion, because at that time I turned into a robot.
Right.
It was like deadline after deadline, and I wasn't really enjoying what I did anymore. Like I fell back in love with art. I started sketching again, like, you know, so I'm glad I went through that. Now I'm in a much better place.
Okay.
But then you mature too, you know. I'm at a point in my career right now where, you know, what you see is what you get. I don't got to prove nothing to nobody.
Right.
You know, so.
So now where are you?
Now I'm at Contour Brands, which was previously owned by VF. They just broke off from VF. And they have 2 brands. One's Wrangler, one's Lee. It's 3 denim brands in the world. I mean, it's Levi's, it's Wrangler, and it's Lee. As far as the denim brands that do big numbers. So when I first moved down here, I was with Wrangler. I was part of.
Moved down here where?
Oh, Greensboro.
Greensboro, North Carolina.
Greensboro, North Carolina.
Okay.
Which was a culture shock as well, especially in this current climate.
Yes.
And I'm gonna leave that at that. But moving from New York to Greensboro, North Carolina was a major culture shock, because you don't realize how New York is its own world, its own bubble, until you leave it and you go to the rest of the world. You're like, oh my gosh. Or any other part of the U.S. Like,
period. You're
like, oh, why is everything moving so slow? Why aren't people like persistent on, you know, it's just different. But I moved here, started at Wrangler. I was part of the modern team. We were doing probably the most elevated product on Wrangler. Small units, nothing crazy because it's high end. From there, Lee corporate from because Lee was based out of Kansas City.
Mm-hmm.
They moved their offices to Greensboro. So when they moved their office to Greensboro, I got offered the position to move into Lee, and then they made me the design director of men's Lee Global.
So right now you are traveling.
Yeah,
I've seen you on the gram all over the world constantly.
All over the place. I actually felt bad, and it's funny because now I don't really like travel because I have my 2 kids now. So traveling is still I like traveling as far as like going to the factory getting the work done, but as far as like traveling in general, I can't stand it. I mean, it's nice, but after you travel so many times, it's like you kind of get over it.
Yeah.
But it's still cool. You still, as a designer, you still need to get out there and kind of see what's out there. So that's very important.
I want to take this quick break to remind you that I am a fashion designer available to consult for your business if you have a product idea or want to start a product line and have no idea how to start or what to do. I'd love to help you. I'm available if you have questions you want to ask. I can schedule a pick my brain session with you for a small fee. And I'm also available to design for you or help aid you in getting your product made at factories. Please reach out to me on the contact form at runwaytoreiki.com if you need design consulting services. And in addition to being a fashion designer, I'm also a yoga teacher, focusing on teaching modified yoga for people that have pain and injuries, mainly due to rheumatoid arthritis and other diseases that cause pain and injuries to the body. I'm offering virtual lessons currently, and I'm open to teach private one-on-one classes or group classes. And I'm also available to teach at special events and retreats. Please check out my yoga website at fashionistayogi.com if you are interested in yoga. And the links to both runwaytoreiki.com and fashionistayogi.com will be in the show notes. So you can just like go there and click right into them. So that's it. Just a quick little commercial break. Now let's get back to our interview with Sedwick. So let's talk about your career and just some of the hurdles that you feel like you've had to jump over and different ways you've had to maneuver and carry yourself as a black man. Like what do you feel like, how do you feel like you have to carry yourself and conduct yourself differently than another person as a black man in this industry? Because let's be clear, y'all are pretty rare.
Oh yeah, it's very rare. Very, very rare. And at the time when urban was in, it wasn't that rare, because there was a lot more of us in that area. But when you get into like, the more contemporary brands, it's rare. But one thing is funny that just sticks out in my head. I just had a flashback of school. My first week at school, I had on like a snorkel coat. It's early 2000s. Jeans, baggy jeans. I think I had on like some Timberlands, double sole wheat. A hoodie, probably a Scully like what I got on now. And I'm sitting outside of the director's office waiting for my, I had to talk to her something about my classes or something like that. And this teacher walked by and was like, you here for fashion? Like, in the way she said it, that was my entry level to the type of shit that goes on in this industry.
Oh man. And
the director, she was a black lady. She went the fuck off. She was like, we can curse, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, fuck it. She went the fuck. She was like, "What the fuck did she just say to you?" But the way she said it, and just the way she said it. You know how somebody like
you
say
knew
some
it was
shit.
Judgmental.
It's like, bitch, is you for real, right? Like,
yeah.
So that was kind of
eye opening.
Yeah. I mean, even in school, it was a lot of times where I didn't know how to sew, like I told you, and I had mastered the sewing part, and like, people was saying, "Oh, you didn't sew that, or you didn't do that, or I draw. That's my shit." Or I would sketch something. You didn't sketch that. Did somebody sketch? But it's like if I was a person of
a different pigment.
There you go.
Without melanin,
it wouldn't have been a question. It would have been like, "Oh, that's beautiful." So it's always been this like, if you're good at what you do, or if you're exceptional at what you do, and you're a person of color. It's always this doubt, like, did you do it? Are you really that good? It's always that type of shit. So that's from a school aspect that I always struggle with that part. As far as a career, man, I could go on and on. I mean, you're in board meetings with people, and you're the only black person in there, Or when I'm traveling, I had a person, and you know this person too. I'm not gonna say her name. She was a VP at the time of a company I was working for, and I think we were in India. We had traveled to like Hong Kong, China, and she said to me, she's from England. She said, Sedwick, I noticed something. Everywhere we go, you're like the only black person. Does that bother you? I was like, nah, like I don't wake up in the morning and look in the mirror and say I'm black. Only time I know I'm black is when somebody got a problem with me being black.
Right.
I don't walk through life like
I'm black.
Yeah, I'm aware. Don't get it twisted.
Right.
I'm very aware. But I constantly travel, and I'm constantly probably the only black person in the room.
Majority of the time.
90% of the time. But after a while, you just kind of, you get used to it, and you just keep it moving. You know what I'm saying? You just get used to it after a while. It's sad. It's unfortunate. Because I know some talented. I've been at companies where I know I got friends of color that will murder some of these designers that they have in some of these places, but
right.
Sometimes they just don't get the same opportunity. Or you might look at a person's resume, like say for instance, you might, let's say you're a person that works in HR at a corporate company. You might look at my resume and see Sean John, but you don't understand why I had to work at Sean John.
Right.
Back in the early 2000s.
Right.
We wasn't getting
those opportunities outside of the urban market.
It was maybe like one or two. It just that's what we had love at as far as people embracing us. So it was just a different time. Now I think it's changing because what's changed is streetwear.
Mm-hmm.
And to us, I even hate the word streetwear sometimes because I'm like, we've been doing this shit.
Yeah, because now you want to call it, you want to reframe urban.
Yeah, it's like, so now it's streetwear. I'm like, it's just the same shit. It's just skinnier fits. We've been doing graphics. We've been doing cool shit.
Yep.
So now it's weird because now that's cool, and we kind of, as a culture, we set the tone for what's cool. We set the tone for what's trending. So you can't run from it now. The internet has helped a lot with that.
Yep.
Because you can't deny it.
Nope.
From pop culture to music, whatever, we are cool. You know what I'm saying? So they can't really deny it now. So I think it's getting better. I think we still got a long way to go though. A long way to go.
And so talk to me about changing. Earlier we were talking a little bit about how you feel like you're always overthinking before you go into a meeting. Mm-hmm. Talk to me a little bit about that.
That's always been tricky for me because as a black guy in this industry, and just how media portrays us to the world sometimes, if you have people that haven't been around people of color, not even just black people, just people of color in general, if you're looking at media, and that's the only way you've saw a black person or even interacted with a black person visually, you're going to have a skewed perception of when you meet me. So right. It's like, that's in the back of my mind when I meet somebody, like, okay, how are they going to address me? They going to be nervous. If I wear this, are they going to think I'm hood if I do this? But after a while, you just stop giving a fuck. And, as I'm older now, and you know me, I've always been myself. But you're constantly overthinking it. Like, okay, if somebody push you off at work, Todd can fucking trip in the corner and yell and be like, if I fucking
act like that,
what?
Turn up.
Bye. Yeah. It's been real. So
oh my God, he's making me nervous.
Yeah, so you really got to check your temperature sometime. And really, you might have to take a walk around the block and come back and rethink it because you got to understand it's also a chess game. So yes. You got to be very careful in your presentation. Be yourself, but let's be clear. It is what it is. So you got to, it's certain people in these corporate companies that are going to what's the word? Profile you, if you may. Oh, here come the black dude. So you got, it's always gonna be those people, and it ain't. I'm not trying to change their mind. You're gonna be ignorant over there in the corner. That ain't up to me to change
your perception.
Because if you ignorant, you're gonna be ignorant. You know what I'm saying? So you don't want to get to know me anyway. So I'm gonna do me regardless. So
right. So what advice do you have for young black men coming up that want to get into the fashion game?
What I would say, because I just ran across a younger kid this week, and one thing that stuck out with me with him was his ego, right? And I told him, I said, yo, I mean, that's just not even a black thing. It's like,
that's anybody.
Yeah, that's anybody. But especially for a young black dude having an ego, just be humble and ask questions. Like, if you see a older black person in a position and you want to know some information, don't be afraid to ask. And then also, people that's our age, we gotta like reach back and help people.
Yes.
Because I see a lot of, we be hating on each other sometimes, and it's like, yo, you gotta help. You gotta give the young.
You gotta give them game.
Yeah, you gotta give them game, and you also gotta give them opportunities.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, I ran across that a lot in my career too. You got older cats that they nervous because you young. We know a couple of them at Parigi. So I was young when I was there. I was what, 24, 25 or something like that. I think I was. Was that?
Yeah, you were like late 20s because you're only like 2 years younger than me, and I was like, I turned 30 there.
Yeah,
I turned 30 there, so you're like 27, 26.
Yeah, I was 26, somewhere around there. Yeah. So you really got to reach back and kind of help the youth, guide them in the right direction. You know what I'm saying? And I had a lot of people around me, those companies that I named earlier. I got a lot of good friends. Maurice Malone, I met him when we was at Parigi. Like, he's been a mentor of mine since I met him there. He took me under his wing. That's the first time I went to China, was with him. He was like, yo,
I remember when you guys went to China.
Yeah, he was like, yo, I'm gonna show you the game, like straight up. My knowledge from denim went from like 0 to like 3,000 just from going. But I never would have had that opportunity if he didn't like reach back, and he's guided me in my whole career pretty much. Any business advice, I would ask him stuff. Because he's been to the top of that mountain.
Yes.
So it's important that we, as black men, if you see another designer, a color, or whatever, just help them. You know what I'm saying? Or even if they're not asking for it, say, hey, yo, what you working on? How can I be of assistance? So that's important.
That's very important. So talk to me a little bit about the difference in your career and how you had to change yourself and maneuver once you became a family man and had children.
Wow. You really asked me that just now?
I did.
You know me though. Well, in New York, I was like the party dude.
You
know
were.
What I'm saying? I was like, yo, turn up with a party at Hey. I honestly didn't change until I left New York. I can honestly say that. I said, because now thinking back on it, like I was so focused on work. Like, my kids was there. I would do the weekend thing when I'm constantly on emails. I'm constantly, they would like, he was like 1 at the time, 2 at the time, and my daughter wasn't even born yet. But when I really left New York and took some time off, like, I didn't even know I didn't even know like their favorite things. Like, that's how much into work I was. Cause I'm like, yo, my wife at the time wasn't working. Like, we in New York, it's crazy expensive. So my focus was getting that cheese. You feel what I'm saying? So, they gotta eat. So by any means, like, I was so focused on that.
Focused on providing.
I wasn't being a good husband or a good father. You know what I'm saying? And that changed once I came here, because I wanted like a work-life balance, and this company's been good for that. But it's changed because I don't really go out like that. Like, a lot of people that know me from New York, they like, oh, yo, you trying to? I'm like, yo, I'm in the bed. Like, this late for me. What time is it right now?
Right now it is 10:12.
It's 10:12. I would have been asleep. Like, I'd be asleep. I don't sleep good, but I'll pass out on the couch or something. But like, literally now on the weekends, I turn my computer off and it's family time. You know what I'm saying? So that and you realize what's important. Like, I love fashion, but it ain't everything.
It's not everything.
It ain't everything. because I could get fired tomorrow. And that's one thing, me getting laid off before I had kids, like that feeling of getting laid off. You be like, yo, what I'm gonna do? I would advise everybody to get laid off or fired once in your career. It'll humble the fuck out of you.
Ditto.
Yeah, it'll humble you real quick. But yeah, it's changed me for the better. You realize what's important, even from a money standpoint. Because I used to blow money. Everybody who know me know I like clothes. So I used to spend so much money on stupid shit and stuff that didn't mean nothing. Now it's a little different, you know.
Thinking twice.
Yeah, I rarely buy anything. Like my wife got to force me to buy clothes now. So
that's hilarious.
Yeah, and people that know me know like I really like clothes. But now it's like I make sure they straight first, you know. So
speaking on this sleep tip.
Oh shit.
Let's move into some conversation about your wellness.
Yes. Oh, I'm struggling with that though. I ain't gonna lie. I'm struggling with that. It's yeah, I'm struggling with that. It's I have crazy sleep problems. And that's just from certain traumas, is from being a kid and just overworked. Stuff I probably didn't deal with when I was younger. But it's important though, because I see myself getting older now. I'll be 39 this year. So your body changed.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You can't eat all of the crazy shit you used to eat. You can't stay up. I mean, shit, sometimes I told you I used to stay up for a day and a half sometimes, just banging out tech packs or designing clothes. And I could literally go to work and function the next day.
Right.
I need sleep now. I can't do that no more. You know, I tried maybe like doing that maybe 2 months ago. Didn't happen.
But so you're going to sleep more. You're not staying up as late, but you're not getting good
efficient
sleep.
Yeah.
You're not getting good, productive sleep.
Yeah, I literally what's this? These little gummies that the doctor gave me. What is it called? Begin with an M.
I'm not sure.
Damn, I forget the name. So I take those sometime to go to. You could get
melatonin.
There you go, melatonin.
Okay.
So I do that. I knew you was gonna figure it out. So I take that sometimes, but then when you wake up in the morning, you kind of groggy a little bit.
Okay.
But yeah, man, anxiety is a real thing.
So are you open to starting to see some type of therapist to work on some of this?
Yeah, me and my wife talked about that the other day, and you know, also us as black men too. The thought of me sitting on somebody's couch, opening it up to somebody, I'm like, well, I ain't doing that shit.
but it's catching up to you.
Yeah, it's gonna catch up to. Also, too, I got kids, so I want to be a good example for them and work out my issues so they don't have those same issues. You know what I'm saying? You know how it was growing. We the same age, growing up in the late 70s or 80s or whatever, just being a black kid. We taught to not show emotion. We taught to, you got to be tough. You got to work 10 times harder. Stop bitching.
Yep.
Keep it moving.
Girl, stop crying.
Yeah, but it's
what you crying for?
Different time though. But that's why motherfuckers is out here now, like high on all this shit, pills and numbing. Crazy shit, trying to numb. And you ain't numbing shit, because when you finish getting high, you're gonna wake up and it's the same feeling gonna be right there. So I don't got those type of problems, but I do need to. Me and my wife was just talking about that, going to see a therapist.
Have you ever tried any type of meditation techniques?
I actually, and that's funny you brought that up. I totally forgot. It was a guy at DKNY. He was into all of that, and he was like, "Yo, you should try to meditate." And I would try in April too. We did it a couple times. What's the dude called? Deepak
Chopra.
Yeah, and she would like, I don't know what the hell you doing over there. Because he got the little voice.
Yeah, because he has really good guided meditations.
But like, she would play that and I'd be asleep. Because homeboy, he started talking.
Yeah.
You'd be like,
yep.
Gone.
Yep.
So I tried it for a little bit. I stopped doing it after a while.
Well, I as your friend, definitely recommend you.
Because you into all that.
I am.
And, you know, yeah.
I am. I mean, I recently just started a guided meditation that I do in the mornings and in the evenings.
What's that?
And there's a doctor, I feel like I'm going to jack his name up, Dr. Joe Dispenza. So look him up. He's pretty dope. I've just started like following his information and his teachings recently.
Guided? What is that?
What Deepak Chopra does. Oh, okay. So when they are talking over like the kind of meditation music in the background, so they're like talking like, okay, do this, breathe like this. That's what guided means. And so I've been doing that lately, using some of his, and it's been real.
What's the dude name? What's his
Joe
name?
Dispenza. Dr. Joe Dispenza. I'll send you his information.
Yeah, I'm gonna check him out. I mean, because as you get older, you gotta, especially in this industry, because we was talking about this too. Everybody think this shit is fucking glitz and glamour. No, negative. If you ask anybody that really do this shit on a day-to-day basis, I love my job, I love what I do, but it is not glamorous. It is not. This ain't fucking TV.
No, it's not Fashion Week.
Runway. I mean, what is that fucking show called?
Project Runway.
Yeah, ain't none of that shit.
No.
And I know some people that actually was on that show. But it's not. It's none of that. You know what I'm saying? It's fucking long hours, stress, deadline after deadline. Everything is urgent. So that in itself builds. It's a recipe for anxiety and depression and, all of that. So you gotta have your head screwed on right to be in this industry.
100%.
Yeah, because it'll eat you up.
It really will.
It'll eat you up. And people don't give a fuck either.
No. They'll let you fall.
With you. Not everybody, but for the most part, the industry, man, please, they'll keep it. They'll fire you and hire somebody tomorrow. One thing I will say though, with this new brand I'm working for, one thing I do like about the environment is like a family vibe. They take that work-life balance serious.
Nice.
If something up with your kids, I mean, it's just a different
energy.
It's a whole nother energy. Like I had somebody, because me and my wife, we just moved from New York down here, so we got one car right now. So like I think my kids today, it was like a tornado was watching.
It was a tornado warning today.
So she had to go get them from school. I had to go to work. A VP that I work with was like, "Yo, if you need a ride, I come scoop you." Like that shit don't happen in New York. Motherfuckers be like, "What? You better get your ass on this train and come to work." Like,
right.
So it's a whole nother. It's just a different energy, like you said.
That's good. That's a great energy to have, especially once you have children.
Yeah, when you got
kids,
you
have support.
And the industry is the industry, no matter which state you in. The fashion industry is the fashion industry, so that won't change. But the work environment is a lot better.
That's good.
A lot better, yeah.
And so you and exercise and nutrition.
Oh, yeah.
What's the deal there?
Okay, yeah, I don't do any of that. And you and my wife was just talking about that. Y'all was talking shit on me when I left the room. I'm trying to get into it. Yeah.
You got this Peloton bike in this room.
Hey, yo. She got that shit. Yeah. We had this Peloton store. She's like, yo. I was like, and I like design because I'm a visual. I'm like, yo, that bike cool as shit. You gotta get it just for the look of it.
Right.
I ain't gonna use that shit. So she gets the bike. The fucking shoes is like $100. I was like, yeah, give me some shoes too. I think I got on that shit like 3 times. Damn near died, yo. It's like, this shit is intense, man. It's a who's the black dude on it? One of the instructors. This motherfucker's crazy. I'm like, bro, you gotta calm down, bro. Like, it's a lot, but I'm gonna try to get back on it.
Okay.
I do like to jog, and I do like to because I had a high blood pressure scare.
Oh.
When I moved here. Mm-hmm. And a high cholesterol scare.
Ooh.
So, I'm a work in progress.
Okay.
I mean, and also too, just high blood pressure. Also being a black guy is that's gonna, you gotta watch that because we deal with a lot of shit on a day to day. So that runs in our,
stress has a lot to do with that as well. So that. I feel like
so
once you
working out, eating right. I mean, I got a good wife, so she eats really. I mean, she cooks every day. We eat pretty well. I drink too a lot. I'm not gonna sit up here and sugarcoat shit, but I got my wine. I'm a wino.
Okay.
But a glass or 2 every night when I come home to take the edge off. But other than that, man, I'm just living.
Who inspires you the most?
Damn, you hit me with that question. Who inspires me the most? That's a tricky one.
Or what inspires you the most?
What inspires me? What inspires me the most?
Mm-hmm.
I like to people watch.
Okay.
So it's a little spot. This is one of my little secrets. I used to right on West Broadway by the Polo store. There used to be a bench right there.
Yep.
On West Broadway, and I would sit there for like hours. And that strip right there is so many young kids would come by, and how they twist up their outfits or how they dress, and I would literally get a lot of inspiration just because New York is such like an eclectic, cool place. Especially Soho, that's like one of my favorite spots. It's changing now. So
it is.
I went there in September. I'm like, what the hell is going on? There's too many big stores coming in.
Yeah.
But I would like literally sit there and watch people for hours.
That's awesome.
As far as what inspires me for clothing, probably color. Like when I see color or just the different color combinations together, color inspires me a lot. Yeah.
So, do you read?
I used to.
Do you listen to podcasts or YouTube?
Oh, I'm embarrassed to say which
channels?
one I listen to.
You're embarrassed?
You gonna be like, this nigga.
You're not gonna say it?
I'm gonna say it.
What is it?
Drink Champs.
Oh, why is it embarrassing?
Nah, because you like this.
It's not embarrassing.
Nah, that's my shit. It's good though. You know why it's good?
Why?
It's good because basically what you doing right now is the same thing.
Yeah.
Because you're in the industry.
Right.
So you know fellow designers. So you know it's the same thing that he does.
Because they're doing it for rap.
Yeah, he does. So it's a different. It's a different interview when he's interviewing these people. I was just watching the interview with him and Memphis Bleak. And he was like, yo, remember that time we was, because he was actually there in real time.
Right.
So it's not like he really knows these people. So
right.
It's a different type of interview, kind of like what this is. Like, I know you.
Right.
So, like, we got history. So it's a different type of vibe versus, you really not from the industry and you interviewing people. Yeah.
So you listen to more cultural and like rap-related podcasts.
And I watch Breakfast Club. Like
you watch Breakfast Club on YouTube?
Yeah, every day. Like, that's my shit. And just interviews. Like, I'm into history of certain things. Like, it could be anything. I'm just intrigued with history in general. So.
Okay. And what drives you to keep going? And what excites you the most about life?
What drives me to keep going is probably my family. Because I've been into some dark places as far as like, yo, should I be doing this shit? You know what I'm saying? Because like I said, you go through ups and downs of this shit all the time. Like, it's never constant. This fashion thing. You might have a good season one season. Next season, you might design some shit and it flops. You like, fuck.
Yeah.
Am I good? What the fuck? So my kids, just coming home, seeing them, they could care less about what the fuck is going on.
Right.
Like, they're like, Daddy, play this video game with me. They don't give a shit about a tech pack, a deadline, anything.
Right.
So they kind of keep me going. And you said, what
what drives you to keep going and what excites you the most about life?
What excites me the most about life? Just living, man. Like, the person I was, when I think back at where I was when I was in my teenage years, I was a whole nother person. Like, totally. To see how much I've grown and the person I am today, yeah, that excites me about life just in general. Because I know I got still a lot more to go.
Right.
Yeah.
And what are you most grateful for at this moment?
What am I grateful for at this moment? I'm sorry to keep going back to family, but
that's all right.
It is what it is.
That's the real.
I'm just grateful for my family. I got a supportive wife. She like my she kind of like my ace in the hole. Like, she's like my A&R.
she is.
Nah, like dead ass. Like, it's been times she was like, man, say fuck that shit. You don't need that shit. Quit that motherfucking job. Like, and I'll go in and literally be like, all right, today my last day.
Yo.
Because that support as a black man too, you need that support because it's tough out here.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So when you got that support at home, you be like, fuck everybody. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you got that support system, you good. And I got a great family too. Like, my parents. They're dope. Grew up with both of my parents. They married. They've been high school sweethearts. I grew up with both sets of my grandparents. Grew up with my great grandmother. So I got a strong family history.
Right.
And I just was brought up right with values and integrity and stuff like that. So, but you gotta, my family.
Okay. And do you have any last words of wisdom for the Fashionista Yogi community?
Just stay true to yourself and just be patient, man. You'll get your time. Everybody has their time. I think a lot of people in this society now, in this Insta world, everybody want instant gratification but just be patient. Your time will come.
Yes. And if people want to contact you, say if they would perhaps like you to mentor them or have any questions, where can people reach you?
You could probably hit me on IG. Yeah.
What's your Instagram handle?
ManAboutTown 1826.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Sed. I really appreciate you for doing this interview. This is really fun.
We gotta do this again.
Yes. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope that you enjoyed the interview with Sed. Please be sure to follow me on Instagram at Runway to Reiki Podcast, and I'll chat with you in 2 weeks in our next episode. Be safe.